Wir werden daher unsere temporären Binnengrenzkontrollen auf alle deutschen Landgrenzen ausweiten. Dies habe ich heute angeordnet und bereits notifiziert bei der EU.
The Berlin Wall, which once divided Germany, has fallen, but border fences are becoming more fortified. How has it come to this that the number of border patrol officers has grown so much, rivaling the number of refugees they once welcomed? A global economic powerhouse is now grappling not only with a refugee crisis, but also with domestic and international political conflicts. Could these tumultuous waves rise higher than the magnificent castles that have long been symbols of German pride? In today's video, Anywhere Diary will explore the stories behind Germany's decision to tighten its borders with neighbouring countries. How will the good neighbourly relationship be affected, and how the Germans standing firm in the face of storms and storms, just as they have always shown in past wars. Germany's recent decision to strengthen its border controls with 9 neighbouring countries has ignited intense debate and scrutiny. This move, while seemingly abrupt, can be seen as a carefully calculated response to a series of escalating incidents. The catalyst for this action can be traced back to a knife attack in Siegen, a western German town. This incident, though not classified as a terrorist act, occurred amidst growing concerns about a surge in stabbings and other violent crimes within the country. The attack, which left several people injured, highlighted the need for more stringent security measures. This was not an isolated incident. In a short span, Germany witnessed 2 other significant knife attacks. One in Solingen resulted in multiple fatalities, and the suspect was identified as a Syrian man who had previously been deported. This case further fueled discussions surrounding Germany's immigration and asylum policies. Given the increasing frequency and severity of these attacks, the decision to tighten border controls appears to be a pragmatic response aimed at enhancing national security and addressing public concerns. The decision to tighten border controls is not merely a reactive measure, but also a proactive step to address the growing challenges posed by immigration. With a population approaching 80 million, including over 3 million refugees, 1.2 million of whom have arrived from Ukraine since the conflict began, Germany faces significant strain on its public services. In 2023 alone, an estimated 250,000 individuals entered the country illegally, further exacerbating the pressure on housing, healthcare, education, and social infrastructure. The influx of migrants, both legal and illegal, necessitates careful planning and resource allocation. One of the other root causes for the question, why tighten the border at this time? With upcoming state and federal elections, the government seems intent on curbing the growing support for right-wing and conservative opposition parties. In the eastern state of Brandenburg, where elections are about to take place, migration has emerged as the top concern among voters. The anti-immigration party, Alternative for Germany, is currently leading in the polls and recently achieved a historic victory in Thuringia, marking the first time since World War II that a far-right party has won a state election. The support this party is gaining poses a threat to the future of the government and all of Germany, prompting the state to take stronger measures in border management and crack down on illegal immigration at a higher level. Border control, while not a panacea, is seen as a crucial tool to regulate the flow of migrants and ensure that the country's resources are adequately managed. By reducing the number of illegal immigrants, Germany can better address the needs of its existing population and integrate the refugees who have already been granted asylum. With a reputation for discipline and planning, Germans have long been admired worldwide for their efficiency in the workplace. However, when faced with urgent challenges, the country has demonstrated remarkable flexibility. The decision to tighten borders with 9 neighbouring countries on September 16th serves as a prime example. To address the surge in first-time asylum applications, Germany has implemented stricter border controls with its neighbouring countries, especially Poland, the Czech Republic, and Switzerland since 2023. Since the temporary border checks were reintroduced at Germany's borders with Poland, the Czech Republic, Austria, and Switzerland on the 16th of October 2023, the federal police have detected approximately 52,000 illegal entries and refused entry to some 30,000 people at Germany's borders. In addition to expanding controls, the government is also streamlining the process of repatriating undocumented migrants. At a recent press conference in September, Germany's Interior Minister Nancy Faeser announced that these controls were initially planned to be in place for 6 months. But given the current situation, Germany will continue to extend the temporary controls at all its land border crossings. As stated, the measures being implemented aim to curb illegal migration and protect national security, issues that are of particular concern to voters. Minister Faeser emphasised that thanks to border control measures since October 2023, more than 30,000 people have been stopped at the German border, contributing to a reduction of over 1/5 in the number of asylum seekers compared to last year. Germany has swiftly implemented robust border security measures. Border police now have the authority to conduct random checks on vehicles and individuals, aiming to deter illegal immigration and cross-border crime. Those lacking proper documentation or failing to meet entry requirements face the risk of being denied entry. Furthermore, the government has accelerated the deportation of undocumented immigrants and those who do not qualify for residency. What they are looking for are people trying to enter Germany illegally. For example, those they sometimes stop here are people who have been banned from entering Germany. But there are also people who want to enter Germany without the proper documents or visas. They are then stopped here and sent back to the countries they came from, including many who come from the Austrian and French borders. So, what happens when someone arrives at the border and says they want to apply for asylum in Germany? The police will let them enter the territory and then send them to the immigration office, where they can present their asylum claim and have their documents checked. Thanks to this tightened border policy, German police have more opportunities to search for and identify human traffickers. Typically, these traffickers attempt to smuggle people into Germany using large trucks. As a result, the police tend to stop larger trucks or vehicles with higher capacity. The police suspect that these vehicles are most likely linked to traffickers attempting to bring people from neighbouring countries into Germany. At Germany's eastern border, on the bridge connecting the town of Frankfurt-Oder with Słubice in Poland, a German police officer stands at checkpoints, regulating traffic and ensuring strict border checks. According to DW News, nearly all vehicles require identity checks, including the ID of every passenger, reasons for travel, and return dates, if available. As expected, the measure sparked a small protest by pro-asylum activists in the town, with dozens carrying banners that read, "Open hearts, open minds, open borders." However, it has had little impact on German authorities, as neighbouring governments, despite expressing opposition, have not been able to influence Germany's decision. Germany's decision to tighten border controls has sparked fierce debate and deep divisions within the European Union, EU. While Berlin argues that the move is necessary to ensure national security, many other member states have expressed disagreement and concern about the negative consequences of the decision on the bloc's unity and cooperation. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has openly criticised Germany's decision, claiming it amounts to shifting the blame onto Europe's external border states. Similarly, Austrian Interior Minister Gerhard Kahner stated that his country would not accept migrants rejected by Germany. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk strongly condemned the move as unacceptable. Most of the countries directly affected by Germany's tough action are Schengen countries. In principle, Europe's passport-free Schengen Area, established in 1985 and currently comprising 25 of the 27 EU member states, plus 4 others including Switzerland and Norway, allows due to movement between countries without border controls. The European Commission, as the guardian of the Schengen Treaty, has typically approved member states' requests to reinstate temporary border controls. Despite limited evidence of a pressing security threat beyond potential electoral gains for the far right, the Commission is expected to endorse Germany's decision to implement checks on all 9 of its land borders. While acknowledging the right of member states to take such measures in exceptional circumstances, the Commission has emphasised the need for these controls to be justified, proportionate and temporary. Germany's tightening of border controls has directly impacted the Schengen Area, where free movement between countries is one of its greatest achievements. The decision raises questions about the sustainability of the borderless zone and could have serious consequences for cooperation among member states. Relations between Germany and Poland, already strained, have worsened since the decision. Poland's refusal to arrest a Ukrainian citizen suspected of sabotage involving the Nord Stream 2 pipeline has further deepened the rift between the two countries. The Polish Prime Minister has called for an emergency meeting of EU member states to discuss the issue. Other countries, such as the Netherlands and the Czech Republic, have also expressed concern over Germany's decision. However, reactions have varied. Denmark stated that the move would not have a major impact on the border between the two countries, while the Czech Republic said it would merely extend existing border control measures. Germany's decision has exposed deep rifts within Europe and raised questions about the future of the Schengen Area. To address this crisis, EU member states need to increase dialogue and cooperation, seeking a common solution based on mutual respect and shared interests. Domestically, after the government tightened border controls, the far right continued to benefit by pushing the narrative that the centre-left government still hasn't been tough enough in addressing immigration issues. They called for even stricter border control measures, including a complete rejection of asylum seekers and permanent controls at the borders, instead of the temporary 6-month measure proposed by the government. This has allowed the far-right party, the AfD, to maintain its lead in polls across eastern states, particularly in Brandenburg, where immigration is a top concern for voters. Following the implementation of border control measures, the AfD not only criticised the government's policies, but also used the situation as a means to intensify their political campaign. They continue to emphasise that the federal government is incapable of ensuring security, claiming that immigration is the main cause of rising crime and social unrest. The rise of the AfD, especially after the border control measures, has created a sharper political polarisation in German society. Centre-right voters who previously supported the Christian Democratic Union, CDU, and the Christian Social Union, CSU of Bavaria, have shifted their support to the AfD due to concerns about immigration and security. This has gradually turned the AfD into a major political force in the eastern states, reshaping the national political landscape. As a result, social polarisation has increased, with one side supporting open immigration policies and the liberal values of the EU, and the other side, led by the AfD, advocating for stricter border control and immigration policies. Because the shortcomings can push up to the climax, Berlin still needs to discuss its plans to detain asylum seekers at the borders with Germany's 16 regional governments whose authorities would need to implement them. It has also said it wants to consult with its European partners, whose cooperation would be needed if it wants to send back asylum seekers. However, it can implement the border controls straight away, having already notified the European Commission of its decision. Border control measures will continue to be implemented as required by the situation, with flexibility regarding time and location. This will also help prevent human traffickers from using alternative routes. The federal police are working closely and trustfully with their partner agencies in Germany's neighbouring countries. Cross-border police cooperation includes joint patrols and police and customs cooperation centres, among other things. However, with limited police resources, the selective checks described by the Ministry of the Interior as smart controls could lead to racial profiling, experts warn. This poses a challenge for Germany to find more appropriate and long-term solutions before political, religious and racial conflicts escalate, which may be even harder to control than the refugee influx into Germany over the past decade. In addition to border protection, internal development must also be a key focus. strengthening resources for immigration and asylum agencies is essential to speed up the processing of applications and avoid backlogs. Currently, many immigration and asylum cases are delayed due to a lack of manpower and facilities. Investment in infrastructure, such as temporary shelters, housing for refugees, and support services like education and healthcare, is necessary. This ensures that Germany can accept legal migrants in an orderly and humane manner. By investing in people, creating job opportunities, promoting cultural diversity, and enhancing international cooperation, Germany can become a model for other countries in managing migration. Germany, as a country with a large economy and an attractiveness for immigrants, is facing a difficult problem. Balancing humanitarianism and security in the immigration issue is never easy. The decision to tighten Germany's borders, while controversial, reflects the government's determination to protect national interests and meet voters' expectations. This is a necessary step in the context of escalating tensions and the number of refugees entering the country proportional to those concerns. So, what about you? What do you think about this strong action of the government, and do you think other countries will follow suit or continue to protest? Please comment below so everyone can know. If you found this video insightful, hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on our latest content. Don't forget to ring the bell for instant notifications. Your support fuels our passion for creating meaningful content. Thank you for watching.